Welcome to Self-Help FAQ, the YouTube channel. I'm Barb, your host, and today's video is video number 7 in a 12-video series about boundaries and all the subcategories of boundaries. Now, in the last video, we talked about secrecy in relationships and how that can destabilize you long before you have proof. And today I want to give some of that stabilization back to you. Because here's the truth. Your partner might lie, they might minimize, they might even reassure you beautifully. But patterns don't lie, and you don't need to overthink to recognize them. So words are flexible, but behavior isn't. Someone can say, "You're my priority. I'm serious about us. You can trust me." But what does behavior show? That's when you have to ask yourself, do plans between you consistently hold? Are actions aligned with promises? Do apologies lead to change or repetition? So anyone can explain something once, but patterns explain themselves. So you don't need to catch someone in a lie. You need to notice what keeps repeating. So what you need in your relationships is consistency, not so much intensity. When I talk about intensity, this is kind of what it would feel like. Grand gestures, emotional highs, passionate reconciliations, and dramatic promises. But consistency looks like predictable communication, follow through, a stable tone, and reliable effort. Intensity excites the nervous system, whereas consistency calms it. So if someone is intense but inconsistent, you will feel adrenaline, confusion, hope, and anxiety. That's not love, that's volatility. Calm, steady consistency is boring to a dysregulated nervous system, but it's protective. So how do you recognize red flags without spiraling, without overthinking, and without becoming a detective? Well, you stop chasing moments and you start noticing patterns. A pattern is not one weird night, one bad mood, one late text, one mistake. A pattern is something that repeats with the same emotional outcome. And that outcome is usually confusion and anxiety and disappointment or self-doubt. This repetition is information for you to watch out for. So let's make this real. Here are a few examples of what this will look like. Example 1 is what I call the plan drift pattern. So that means someone will give an excuse like, well, something came up. Like you wanted to do something and something came up. Twice, they might say, this week's just crazy. Or 3 times, plans get canceled last minute and you stop looking forward to them. That's not bad luck anymore. That's a pattern. And the pattern says you are not structurally prioritized. There's no drama, no accusations, just repetition. Example number 2 is the defensive pattern. The first time it shows up, they might say, "Why are you asking that?" Second time, they might say, "You're being paranoid." And after 3 times, you stop asking questions at all. That's not personality. That's a pattern that teaches you curiosity leads to punishment. In example 3, there is an intensity recovery cycle. There's conflict, withdrawal, and distance. Then you get an intense apology, passionate reassurance, and a big promise. Then calm, then repeat. Like they say, rinse and repeat. That's not romance. That's a nervous system roller coaster. And roller coasters are not stable foundations. So we miss patterns because we explain each instance separately. We might say, this time's different, they're stressed, they didn't mean it, I overreacted. But when you isolate each event, you protect the illusion. When you zoom out, the system becomes visible. So patterns only emerge when you stop arguing with single moments. So now I want to talk about how pattern recognition replaces snooping, something that we talked about in the last video. So snooping asks, what are they hiding? But pattern recognition asks, what keeps happening? Snooping seeks hidden evidence. Pattern recognition watches visible repetition. So one erodes your integrity and the other strengthens your discernment. We talked about discernment before. And there's an emotional shift. When you shift from moments to patterns, something changes inside you. You become calmer, less reactive, less desperate for proof, and more grounded, because you're no longer chasing answers. You're observing structure, and structure tells the truth eventually. So here's a practical tool for you. You can say to yourself, instead of saying to yourself, is this a red flag? Ask, has this happened before? If yes, then did I resolve it or did it repeat? If it repeated, then that's your data. No detective work is required. So you don't need certainty, you need consistency. So here's the shift for you. You don't need proof, you just need pattern awareness. You don't need to monitor, you just need to observe. You don't need to overthink, you need to notice repetition. As I've said before, patterns don't lie. So with that, here is your journal question for today. And the question is, what pattern in my current or past relationships did I explain away, even though it kept repeating? So that brings us to the conclusion of today's video, and I hope that you will start recognizing patterns in your relationship that do not give you peace. Just keep that in mind. Either write it down, put it in maybe an online journal, or just keep it in the back of your mind and just notice these patterns if you are not happy with the way things are going. In my next follow-up Friday, we're going to talk about what you should do once you see those patterns. And a lot of this is going to come out of one of the books I wrote. So stay tuned for that this coming Friday, because recognition is step 1 and response is step 2. So we'll see you on Friday. Thanks a lot for stopping by. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And bye for now.